A Valhalla after Valhalla. A verdant field past the veils of this universe for those that seek to give meaning to mortals. An honest answer from the lips of the universe. Odin lies awake at night, wondering what hides behind this godly existence. He crosses the streets of Asgard, casting shadow as the All-Father reaches his study. There, Odin wanders in the corner of the universe where he decided to make the many wonders of this world out of the desecrated body of the first giant Ymir. There, a crack held in midair cast a comfortable emerald shine over the cavern drenched in shadow. Like a scar in the face of reality itself, the All-Father dares once again to gaze inside, knowing full well the cost of curiosity as he rubs 2 fingers over his eye patch. Inside, he feels the answer to existence, the exit rod to the inherent nihilism of godhood. There, among the secret, ineffable universe of primordial essences, his eye drinks knowledge. However, the last thing he sees before violently pulling back from the surface of that glitch in the realm is another eye staring back at him. Today we will talk about one of the most fascinating mysteries of God of War Ragnarök. Today we will try and guess what might be hidden behind the Emerald Rift that we see in Asgard, the source and possible answer to Odin's paranoia about what comes next for gods. The player is first made privy to this odd schism of reality during one of the sections where you play as Atreus, or Loki for the giants of the realms of Norse mythology, who, after climbing the walls surrounding the inner circle of Asgard's main hamlet, is led by Heimdall to face the All-Father. Once in his presence, the All-Father will lead Atreus to his study, and through a passage in the back to a cavern that lies beyond Odin's office. Atreus is then presented with perhaps the most detailed explanation that the player will be given as to the nature of the Emerald Rift, at least as Odin understands it. Odin tells Loki that he was made aware of the crack in reality when he was a young god, and that in its presence he could feel truth and knowledge, as if that crack could hold the answers to all the existential dreads that gnaw at his soul. From how to stop Ragnarök to, as he says, find the meaning that exists beyond his life, a Valhalla after Valhalla. He says that he was first made aware of this rift in his youth, where his impulses for knowledge led him to be reckless and to gaze into the rift without protection, thereby giving us an explanation as to how Odin lost his eye in this universe. At this point, we're also introduced to a mask that Odin believes will allow him to peer into the Emerald Rift while remaining protected. Loki manages to translate the code inscribed in the mask after confirming that it is not from the 9 realms, meaning the mask, like Kratos, does not belong, or at least did not originate, in the world of Norse mythology. After gathering the parts of the mask, towards the end of the game, Loki decides to break away from the hold that knowledge and the indiscriminate seeking of answers have had on the All-Father, and he goes on to break the mask, allowing it to get swallowed by the rift. I found this part of the game to be absolutely brilliant. I like Ragnarök and killing gods as much as the next guy, but a mystery of cosmic proportions with hints of Lovecraftian horror sprinkled into it? Count me in. I believe that in order to understand the role of the Emerald Rift and what it was, we must do so from 2 different perspectives. The mythological one, meaning following in the information provided by the developers about it and how it pairs with our knowledge of Norse myth, and from the perspective of the universe of God of War. Let's first focus on the role the Rift plays as a tool to adapt certain Norse myths. First, it bears mentioning that the developers of God of War Ragnarök, as well as God of War 2018, seem to be guided by a desire to replicate the myths of Norse mythology, but not in the way any person knowledgeable with such stories could anticipate. For example, the death of Baldur is caused by the trickster god Loki in Norse myth, but in God of War 2018, Loki merely tries to protect himself from Baldur's attacks, which leads to a fragment of mistletoe to become lodged into Baldur's hands, releasing him from the curse of immortality. Finally, it is Kratos that deals the final blow against Odin's favorite son. meaning that the myth of the death of Baldur does come to pass, even if in a different way as expected. This reinforces the nature of prophecy as being a double-edged sword, and the world of the God of War series as being one guided by such prophecy, but never 100% determined by it. We see other examples of this notion, like the birth of Fenrir and Jormungandr as Loki and Agnaboda's children, being substituted by Loki's ability to send souls of living beings into the body of other beings, meaning taking the soul of his wolf Fenrir and one of the giants of Jotunheim and placing them into the bodies of the two animals. Essentially, I believe that from a mythological perspective, the Emerald Rift satisfies a similar objective. In Norse myth, there is no mention of a source of truth and knowledge, similar to the rift that we see in the game. But we do know about Odin's paranoia when he came to his death in Ragnarök, and his desire to gather information to break away from his bloody destiny. In the original myth, Odin sacrifices his eye, willingly, and is made to hang from the Tree of the Worlds, Yggdrasil, to gain knowledge in an act symbolizes the prerequisite of knowledge as being the destruction of what existed before. In the world of God of War, the Emerald Rift, or whatever lurks inside, damages the All-Father and makes him lose his eye, once again arriving at the same conclusion of the myth, but through a different path. So, perhaps the rift is nothing but another avenue to realize the metaphor of knowledge as having a terribly steep price to pay. Perhaps it is nothing but another one of the made-up contraptions that the developers of God of War use to satisfy their desire to tell an epic story without trading the same ground as any other story about Ragnarök. But I believe there is more to it. And to understand the secondary meaning of the rift, I think we need to focus not on Norse lore, but on the lore established by the God of War series. The first thing to mention is that I am a firm believer that even if the rift was closed before Surtur destroyed the last remnants of Asgard, we will surely see the rift that was teased in Ragnarök either in a DLC for the game or in an upcoming new release. These developers are not ones to establish a plot point of such importance and then simply not give an answer. The screenwriting law of Chekhov's gun requires them to offer answers. I believe that the key to understanding the role of the rift in the lore of God of War is the line that Odin says to Loki the first time he is led to the cave where the rift is kept. Odin says that humans have it easy. When they push against life's big questions, they can look up to us to give them meaning, divine comfort. But when we have questions, why are we here? To give mortals meaning while living with it ourselves? No. Odin is desperately looking for divine comfort, of knowing that there is an afterlife for the gods, a world where members of pantheons are extended the same glory as that offered by them to mortals, be them Valhalla or Helheim. Hey, if you're enjoying this video, hit the like button and consider subscribing to Rebel Culture. We really appreciate it. Thanks. I believe that the answer to the existence beyond existence, or the Valhalla after Valhalla, is that rift. Now, if we only knew of a dead god who can definitely say, managed to transcend death, well, we have one. In the second God of War game, Kratos murders Athena, the Greek goddess of knowledge, as she jumps in to protect her father Zeus from Kratos' rage. And in the third game, she lets Kratos know that she has transcended this existence and ascended to a higher plane. Now her form is covered in an otherworldly translucent green, akin to the emerald glow that emanates from the rift. In God of War 2018, Athena also makes an appearance in her ethereal emerald look, as Kratos is forced to dig up the blades of chaos to face the armies of the realm of the dead to rescue Atreus from the disease that threatens his life. Whether this is really her or just a manifestation of Kratos' guilt is not clear to me, since he does ask her to get out of my head. But if we assume her existence to be removed from death, as she remains tethered to that land beyond Olympus and Valhalla, maybe she has reached true immortality. So perhaps what Odin is gazing at through the rift is that world beyond the world of gods, that promised existence beyond the material world of myth where they can perish and die. Perhaps every god that Kratos has ever killed managed to reappear as a reminiscence of their previous selves in that world beyond death. Or perhaps more likely, it is a place where only gods of knowledge can thrive. I consider both Athena and Odin to be gods of knowledge, not just because Athena is literally the goddess of knowledge of Greek mythology, but also because of her fixation with the prophecy that warned of the fall of Olympus, just like Odin dreads the arrival of Ragnarok. Perhaps in a future game or in a DLC for Ragnarok, the player will be able to step into the world of knowledge and have a final battle against the All-Father Spirit, and perhaps Athena. Or maybe every damn god that Kratos has ever killed is there waiting for revenge. Even perhaps Zeus himself. Of course, we don't know any of this for sure, but it remains a fascinating theory to explore in future games. So thank you for watching Rebel Culture. We hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, hit the like button to let us know. Consider subscribing, and I will see you in the next one.